It's Saturday morning, everyone. I hope everybody slept in, had a nice cup of coffee. I'm waiting to get a cup of coffee myself. I walked down to the local coffee shop, and it was so crowded that I felt uncomfortable in a pandemic, so I turned around and walked back. But anyway, so much for that. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend so far. And we're reading from the Little White Book. This is the edition of the brand new edition of the Next Millennium Magical Omaha version of Tarot of Ceremonial Magic. Now, there's a full book that the good people at Wiser print. I mean, a big, thick book called Tarot of Ceremonial Magic. That this little white book is just a pale echo of the more in-depth information that you can find in Tarot of Ceremonial Magic. Both the book and the deck are available everywhere. You can get them directly from the publisher, Magical Egypt, Magical Omaha, or you can get it from Amazon and stuff. You can get the book in both places. But anyway, and before I forget, please, if you're intending to register for Wednesday's, that's next Wednesday's Zoom workshop on the magical importance of invocation, please don't wait to the last minute. I mean, I stress that, but my anxiety level goes through the roof as we near the date, and I like to get everybody registered if possible. Anyway, we're moving on. We're discussing the Lesser Arcana and the virtues of the court cards. And yesterday we discussed the Enochian significance of the court cards. And we touched briefly on these Tattva symbols, but we'll talk more about it today. But now I want to talk about the astrological significance of the court cards, or at least how they're arranged in a Hermetic Kabbalistic way. You'll notice that each of the 16 court cards, 12 of the court cards have dates associated with them. 30-degree periods of the zodiac. That's 20 degrees of one sign to 20 degrees of the following sign. The princesses, on the other hand, are special, and they are like paired up with the aces. The ace is like the alpha, and the princess is like the omega of the suit. The princesses are actually even called the throne of the aces. Now, the aces and the princesses, in their dual capacity as the alpha and omega of the suit, don't rule quadrants of time like the court cards do. Instead, they rule, in a sense, quadrants of relative space. If you would take a helicopter over the North Pole and then draw a map just splitting the world into 4 sections, each of those 4 sections, what Yod He Vav He, each of those 4 sections would be ruled by the ace and princess. So 12 of the court cards, the knights, the queens, and the princes, rule quadrants of time, or associated with quadrants of time. Princess and the ace associated with quadrants of space. So let's talk about, from the book, the astrological attributions. It should be pointed out that the knights, the queens, and the princes each rule 30 degrees of the zodiac, from 20 degrees of one sign to 20 degrees of the following sign. This information, now why don't they just rule zodiac signs? Well, I'm sorry. We've already got perfectly wonderful trumps, 12 trumps that rule the zodiac signs. No, it's the job of the elements to mix up with each other. I mean, look at this stuff. I mean, this is a pad of paper, okay? But the paper isn't just earth, it's earth and fire and water and air, all in different admixtures. It's a different formula, different proportions of fire, water, air, and earth. In the same way that we see it displayed in the Enochian magic. Now, this is the Queen of Wands, and Wands is fire. So we do see a lot of red in that sub-angle. But we also see a lot of blue because she's the queen, and the queens are the watery aspect. So we see predominantly red and predominantly blue, but we see little bits of air. We see little bits of yellow, and we see little bits of green in there too. So it's the job of the elements to mix up with each other. And so the court cards, 12 of the court cards ruling 30-degree periods of the zodiac with their admixture of elemental rulership and such, instead of ruling a complete zodiac sign, they take those 30 degrees and just back up 10 degrees to adopt a whole decan of a previous sort of foreign element. So the 16 court cards, or the court card personality types, are this admixture of elements. And the 16 court cards, just by the way, at least in my mind, have a direct correlation, direct relationship with what Jung was trying to get across with this Myers-Briggs type personality types. But and I'm certainly not a psychology expert at all, or an expert in Jung. But there are those who are. Okay. This information, or the dates, this information in the appropriate days of the year covered by the 30-degree periods, it is displayed on the upper right corner of each of these court cards. So, there you go. So the Queen of Wands rules 20 degrees Pisces. See, Pisces is a fire element. But she rules 20 degrees. She rules 10 degrees of Pisces, but 20 degrees of Aries. So she's mostly Aries. The queens are associated primarily, or at least 20 degrees primarily, with the cardinal signs of the zodiac. Okay. And there's the approximate days of the year. I say approximate because I believe that in any given year, those dates change a day or so. Now, in a very generic way, I've gone 20 degrees of one sign to 20 degrees of the next. But you can now, astrologers would mix or would split hairs and do, instead of using 0 degrees, they would use cuspy type thing. But when it's that close, feel free to get your ephemeris out and look that up yourself. Anyway, This information in the proper days of the year covered by the 30 degrees of this period is displayed in the upper right-hand corner of each of the court cards. Using the information, the significator in a tarot reading can be determined by the questioner's birthday. So when I read tarot cards, I ask people their birthday just so I can find out what court card I could use to represent them in the reading. Other individuals relevant to the reading can be similarly identified. Husbands, wives, lovers. Often in a tarot reading, surface as a court card. Sometimes with an uncanny relationship to the birth of the person in question. Okay, now we're going to talk about the tattva symbols. That's a tattva symbol. And it's a combination of water and fire. Now, this is the Queen of Wands, and Wands is fire. So that's the red tattva triangle of fire. And queens are water. And there is the silver crescent of the tattva symbol of water. At the bottom right-hand corner of each court card and ace is the Hindu tattva meditation symbol. They're symbols of the elements that have been used in the East for millennia as objects of concentration and meditation. Adepts of the Golden Dawn use the figures to astrally project into the various elements by intently gazing at the appropriate tattva symbols, then turning their gaze at a blank neutral colored background. They then imagine themselves entering or projecting into the ghost image of the symbol. This is a disarmingly simple yet very effective astral projection technique. The symbols are as follows. Fire is a red triangle, point up. Water is a silver crescent. Air is a blue circle. Earth is a yellow square. And spirit is a black or deep indigo egg-shaped or oval. So examples, the Knight of Cups is the fire of water. Let's see if I can find him real fast. No, I can't find him really fast. So Knight of Cups is fire of water. So it'd be a red triangle with a silver crescent. The Princess of Swords is earth of air, a yellow square in a blue circle. Ace of Wands, spirit of earth, a black egg in a red triangle. Now we're going to talk about the 16 I Ching hexagrams. You know, excuse me. In a reading, I have to confess, in a reading, court cards, when they show up, I just dread seeing them pop up. What does it mean? You ask me a practical question. The querent asks me a practical question, and they want practical answers. And unless we can actually dig our teeth into characters that are important to the question, somebody's father, their husband, their lovers, their wives, whatever, the court cards sometimes give us jack in practical information. I once read for a lady at a big BEA Book Expo convention, and I was really tired, and it wasn't really I wasn't really giving my tarot readings a good shot. I was doing it for the publisher's booth, you know. And it came up. It was the night of wands came up, and that one. And I couldn't think of a damn thing. I just absolutely couldn't think of a damn thing. And finally, I just confessed. I said, "Oh, lady, does this have anything to do with a black horse?" And she had this shocked look on her face, and she says, "Yes, my husband sold our racehorse to help pay for the bookstore he's buying me." Well, I lucked out on that, okay? Often the court cards don't, they leave you questioning what this might mean in a practical way. But the Yi Ching, the 16 court cards represent 16 of the 64 hexagrams of the Yi Ching. And those Yi Ching hexagram answers do have in-your-face, frank, divinatory answers. But let's see what DuQuette says. Yi Ching hexagrams. The Yi Ching, or the Chinese Book of Changes, could be called the Kabbalah of Eastern thought. The Tarot of Ceremonial Magic does not presume to act as a replacement to the venerable work, and I mean venerable, it's like one of the oldest books in the world. Tarot of Ceremonial Magic does not presume to act as a replacement to this venerable book and divinatory tool. But there are certain areas where the two most perfect systems coincide. There are 64 hexagrams, figures made up of 6 lines, either broken or unbroken. 64 in the I Ching. Each are made up of 2 trigrams, figures made up of 3 lines, either broken or unbroken, and there are 8 such trigrams. Male, female, sun, moon, fire, water, air, and earth. See where we're going with this? The 4 elemental trigrams perfectly parallel the 4 elements of the tarot. When combined to form hexagrams, fire of fire, water of fire, earth of fire, air, etc., etc., the resulting 16 figures perfectly match and help define the 16 court cards. The hexagrams can be found at the upper left of each of the court cards, and their titles and divinatory meanings can be found in the Tarot of Ceremonial Magic book, my book from Weiser, but they can be found anywhere. I love the Wilhelm Baines book of the Yi Ching. And I've also written a goofy little one called the Yi Ching of Milo. But anyway, tomorrow, that'll be it for today, you guys. Get on with your weekend. Tomorrow we're going to pick it up at the 4 aces. And we'll look in greater depth at the 4 aces. So until then, I'm putting my cards away and getting out my divinatory, my special old divinatory deck. I've got a tarot reading I got to give on the telephone in just a little while. So continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. We'll see you tomorrow for Sunday school.